All right, so this is how you can recreate any beat that you want. This is particularly good if you're learning to make a new style of music, or you just like heard a song that you love and you want to recreate that and make that a part of your sound. Just to start off with a disclaimer, you can pretty much never 100% recreate something. You can get extremely close though. I say this is a really good thing though. If you're recreating something and it sounds a little different, then it just means that you've got your own version, you've got your own sound, and you're not like ripping the person off, you know? So yeah, this is a really great way to learn styles that you like, learn new styles of production, and it's a great way of leveling up quickly as a producer. It's something that I've incorporated into my work for years and years. So my first go-to when I'm trying to switch up my style and learn a new genre is to pick a reference track. Reference tracks are extremely helpful. I feel like they're very underrated, and you're about to see why. All right, so I've just dropped in a beat into Ableton. I've just picked one of my own beats just for copyright reasons so I can play it back on YouTube. What we first need to do is find the tempo. I've just switched off warp, and then I am going to assume that this first section without any transients is just like the melody loop. So I'm just going to adjust the tempo until it looks like it syncs up and it's an 8-bar loop. So I'll just go in and take off this little couple of milliseconds that gets added onto the clip when you export it. So that looks like a perfect loop to me. Let's see if it lines up. A quick way to find out if it lines up, I like to pick a little drum section and loop it just for like 2 or 4 bars. So that's perfect. It sounds like it's in time. So you can do this with any audio. This is my beat right now, but generally if I'm trying to recreate like a song that I like, I'll just drop the whole song in there. It doesn't matter if there's a vocal. We just work with what we've got. And the first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to steal the drum pattern. I just created a new MIDI track down here and I'm going to hit record arm. I'm just going to play it back and I'm going to tap with my keyboard when the clap hits. So we're just going to start building MIDI layers for just each of the drum elements. So then I can hit this little broken square over here, and then I'll just drag out. So these are the MIDI that I just made, and it's a little bit off grid. So I'll just align it. I've got the clap pattern down, which is obviously pretty simple. The next thing that I'll do is the hi-hats because it's a little bit more complex. So I'll just start off with a small section. Because this element moves a little bit quicker, it does take a little bit more time. So there we go, we've got the hi-hat MIDI. Now I'm focusing on the percussion. So basically what I do is I break down the beat into individual elements and then just focus on one element at a time so it's not too overwhelming. And once I have my MIDI, I'll go through and focus on the specific samples and I'll go and find them in drum packs. Say I'm trying to recreate a Metro Boomin beat. I'll go and find a Metro Boomin drum kit and I'll start looking through all of those sounds and trying to match them with the same elements. And if I can't find it, maybe I'll go and find another drum kit. One reason why this is so effective is because majority of the samples that you hear in music are just reused. The more that you start producing, you'll just hear the same 808s all the time. It might just be the same like Beethoven 808, but it has a bit of distortion on it. I get the drum pattern down, I get the tempo down, and then I'll purposefully pick different elements that sound different and that actually don't perfectly fit that producer. So then I can give it my own kind of sound. So this is what we ended up with. Then this is the beat that we're referencing. It's actually quite easy and you'll surprise yourself when you start to recreate these things. Even when you play back the track that you're referencing, you'll start to notice, oh yeah, I've heard that snare before in this drum kit that I have. Then we can also do this for the 808. First thing that I like to focus on is the rhythm. So this is the 808 pattern that we just created. I think I accidentally added in an extra note, so I'm just going to get rid of that one. The next thing that you can do is bring up a tuner and a frequency analyzer and just analyze the notes that the 808 is playing. So that one looks like it's an A sharp and it sounds like it's a higher octave. And then this one's C sharp as well, but it goes up an octave. So let's reference that again. Here's our MIDI that we've made. So I've obviously found the right 808. Once again, just because it was my beat, it was easy to find. I knew what sample. You may find the exact 808, but you may want to switch it out anyway, just to give it your own taste. The next step that I like to do, we can play back the melody loop. In most songs, generally there's like an intro with just the melody playing and there's no like drums or anything. I'd go through and find that section where it's just isolated. You can still do it with the drums, but it's just not as efficient. So I've just gone through and recreated that melody. It can be a little bit tedious, but this is probably the best way to get the right notes. You could also look up a specific tutorial, and then I reckon within like 2 or 3 videos, you kind of start to get an idea of the chord progressions that they use consistently within that style. Another really helpful way to get isolated stems, this website here, you can just drop in a whole song and using AI, it will separate each of the elements. And I should probably mention, if you're somebody that struggles with melodies, I do post these Ableton project files up on my Patreon. It's available for all of my Patreon members. It's only about $7 a month. You get every single Ableton project file. You can go in there and study what I do, how I make melodies, reverse engineer the chord progressions and the melodies, and incorporate that into your workflow. The Patreon membership includes all of my project files from my videos on YouTube, and it also includes my stash kit for free in there as well. So if you're interested in something like that and you feel that it would help, go and check that out. All right, so let's compare the beat with the version that we recreated. And then this is the original. The only other thing left in the equation is really just repetition, just recreating the same beat and using the same chord progressions and just experimenting with how you make those. It's only a matter of time before you start making stuff that you really like. Just stick with it. You'll start to make beats that you love, and before you know it, you'll be where you want to be.